Hi, welcome to another episode of The Green Room, a euphony podcast taking you backstage and behind the scenes with musicians, actors, and comedians from around the world. Powered by Yamaha headphones, I'm your host, Tiana Speter. I am so stoked to be coming at you today. I'm 2 coffees in, it's a beautiful day, let's do this. On the most recent episode of The Green Room, I had the absolute delight to spend some time with one of my musical heroes and a man who has definitely incited many sonic good times throughout his abundant career. I'm talking, of course, about Mr. Frank Carter, currently of Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes fame, previously of Gallows, Pure Love, and many other musical shenanigans. While Frank's onstage ferocity is the stuff of legend, I was completely taken aback by this, at times, sort of softly spoken and, of course, extremely passionate individual. And in that episode, we covered everything from the brand new Rattlesnakes album Sticky to how he amassed his army of collaborators for that outing. And we even delved into his take on the state of safety and empowerment at live shows, something he is extremely spirited about. And it was certainly proof that this man is more than a dynamo on stage. Definitely give that episode a whirl, and you can also grab a watch of that one too over on YouTube. For today, we're still staying in the UK vein, but for this episode, we're featuring a band whose legacy this year clocks over 4 decades. For many, Duran Duran is a name etched into the very fabric of modern music, and for me personally, I actually knew the band name before I even knew their music. Duran Duran are just one of those bands you know, and for a damn good reason. While many associate the band with the quote-unquote new romantic new wave scene, with the second British invasion of the US swaggering in during the 80s amid the video age, including the very infamous Girls on Film music video that stopped me dead in my tracks at far too young an age. But I digress. There is an undeniable fact that Duran Duran haven't ever truly left or faded into the night to stage a so-called comeback. The band's output has been constant and consistent, even amid some occasional lineup changes. Sure, there were specific times and moments when the Duran Duran heyday reigned particularly supreme, but what this group have continued to prove since their first ever self-titled album back in 1981 is simply this. They are never content to wallow in nostalgia, and the band's brand new 15th studio album Future Past that dropped today, aka October 22 for those playing along at home, it is a resounding declaration that Duran Duran are a band who can straddle genre-defying territory with a true appreciation for each other as a band. A flash in the pan they are not. Today, to celebrate the brand new release, I'm joined by Duran Duran bassist John Taylor to discuss Feeling Human, the enduring relationship amongst this group after so long, and ultimately creating and releasing an album against the backdrop of a pandemic. Awesome. Well, hello, John from Duran Duran. An absolute delight to have you here on The Green Room today. Thank you for joining me.
Hi, Tiana. It's nice to be here.
Well, I know it's a bit of a strange time. I mean, we're in 2021 and we all probably thought life would be a little bit more back to quote unquote normal, but it's also just over 4 decades since Duran Duran first formed, and here you are poised on the brink of your 15th full-length album with Future Past officially ready to leap into the world. I know it's been a very long process to get to this point, but you guys have had a huge year this year as well with your Billboard Music Awards performance and everything else going on. But first and foremost, how are you feeling being on the precipice of such a huge new album release, given the extensive lead up to finally bring this into the world?
Well, when you put it like that, I'm terrified. I don't like being on a precipice. I think, as you alluded to, it's definitely an unusual time to be doing anything today. I mean, just like and it almost, just the idea, the normalcy of like, oh, well, we're just putting out an album and we're going to be going on tour and here we are promoting it and we're doing it against the backdrop of, at best, weirdness, I mean, and at worst, real pain for some people, So, I think that this particular album, because it was made in part under COVID rules and, and the process of making the album was broken up. We'd been working on the album for about a year and then we went into lockdown last March, closed the studio, everybody went home. And, we didn't do any work on the music for about 9 or 10 months. And when we came back to it, obviously, we'd all gone through the experience of last year, which for those of us living in London and Los Angeles was, a pretty extremely, it was an unusual year. It was a difficult year. It was, even to not be directly involved, but just be witnessing it on television and, what everybody was going through. It was a tricky year. I think going back to each other, and we've been friends for a long time. It was pretty profound. And I think we were all kind of humbled by the experiences that we'd had and that we'd witnessed others having. And, so we really got down. It gave us a real power to get the album finished and feel like it was important work we were doing. I mean, what else can you do? This is what we do. That's what members of Duran, we make Duran Duran music, and then we throw it to the, winds and see what it does. And we hope that it can have some kind of a positive effect on the culture, on people that, yeah.
Yeah, I think you put it so well. I actually had a little cheeky listen last night while I was prepping for this very chat, and I was, just sitting there having a groove, and then something I was like, it just put such a smile on my face. And it seems to be like an album that maybe is so needed in so many ways, but like stylistically, there's so much going on. There's a lot of joy. There's a lot of collaborations as well. Like there's so much to unpack with it. I guess approaching this album, did you guys set out to kind of do something significantly different compared to like Paper Gods or All You Need Is Now? Like, was there something prior to all the COVID stuff, prior to all of that? Like, did you actively want to make this something a little bit different and stretch yourselves a little bit further than usual?
I don't know that we really think in those terms. I mean, honestly, this is going to be really pretentious, but what artist doesn't pick up a brush with the hope to make a masterpiece? Like whatever it is, you don't set out to do a podcast and go, this is going to be a really shit podcast. You start the day and you go, I want this to be a really good one. We all do. Of course we do. We want to bring our best game, any time. So, we definitely set out to do that, but, you don't know what's going to impact it, what's going to cause it to go in a certain direction. I've got to call out our chief collaborators on this album, Errol Alcan, the producer, and Graham Coxon, guitar player extraordinaire. Giorgio Moroder produced 2 of the songs. I mean, these guys particularly, had a massive impact, and really drove us to produce, to give our best, I would say. But then there's themes. It's a very intimate album. It's a very, lyrically, it's a very, very fucking, heart open kind of album. There's a lot of themes of the challenges of intimacy and the challenges of long-term relationships, and which I dare to say almost speak to the moment in a way. A song like Invisible, which was the first song, which, started out, the song's got, I think Simon, he always tries to write to the duality of like, he'll pick on a personal theme, like, I'm feeling really fucking invisible in this marriage right now because you're not giving me any attention. You're too caught up with other things, and I'm just like feeling, which, let's face it, we've all felt at one point in another. And he wants to take that idea and he wants to make it, he wants to make that experience sort of available to everybody that hears it, so that everybody that listens go, oh, I get that. I fucking get that. And that was a song that was written before we went into lockdown, but it kind of speaks to lockdown. It kind of speaks to, this experience that we're having. We're all feeling, a little bit less, we're all feeling less seen today, even when if you just go up to the supermarket, to get some supplies, and you have that experience. And like, I never really noticed like how much I like, when I do, if I go, even if I go and put some petrol in my car, right, and I have that, and I'm in the line and I see the guy and I give him my credit card and I have that exchange with him, I never really appreciated like what actually takes place, between myself as a human being and this, and a group of other human beings that are all involved in that exchange. And with masks, it's a different experience. It's different, and we don't. There's not as much empathy is exchanged in the experience, and an experience is banal and nothing as as putting petrol in the car, going to the supermarket times 10, and I think we were like, oh fuck, I really rely on people I don't know to make me feel human. Every time you're sitting in a restaurant and you have that exchange with the waiter, and it's like, and yes, you're asking him to bring you a coffee and whatever it is, a sarnie, but you're also having that repartee, that rapport that makes you feel more human, and just makes you feel good about yourself. And it's just, and we're not having that in the same way.
Stay with me after this short break as John from Duran Duran unpacks starting a musical career in the late 70s and early 80s, and he also shares the secret sauce behind not breaking up, which is relevant for marriages, jobs, and of course bands. That and more after this.
Steve Bell here. I present the Handshake Agency podcast Rewind. Each series takes you back to a moment of musical heritage as we present oral histories about great albums of our time from the people who made them. If, like me, you have a geek-like curiosity about your favourite artists, track down Rewind with Steve Bell at thepodcast.com.au, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favourite shows.
So, those kinds of things are going on and have been going on. And, it's not, I mean, Tonight United is another example of a song, that's a song, one of the album's songs. And it was one of the last songs that we wrote. And that, again, was written before anybody had used the word COVID-19. But at the same time, speaking for Britain and America, it was very fractious. And people were being divided into, Brexit had happened and Brexit had been dividing people and Trump was dividing people. And we were like, let's make a unity song. Let's write a song for unity. Let's write a song that people can stand together and sing, and then now it comes out on an album and it kind of, I'd love people to be able to feel that song and use that song as as a way to, to reflect, the coming back times. I'm hoping we are going to be entering into the coming back times.
This sounds like I'm just saying this. I actually was going to ask you if there was a particular favorite on that album. Tonight United is actually my favorite song on the whole album. I've got it written here. Right. It's got such a beautiful connection to it. And I think it just speaks to the testament that Duran Duran can transcend seemingly time and space. Like for a band who has been at this for a very long portion of your lives and is a part of many other people's lives, like it's incredible that you not only can flourish, but you can also capture all these themes and accidentally maybe predict the future and put out a song that we actually all needed without even realizing it. So it's a pretty incredible superpower you guys seem to have.
Cool. Well, I don't know how, I don't even know how to follow that sentence. We're on a, we're like on a, an investigative journey, we started out, and we had no idea what we were doing really, we were just reflecting our times. And, it was a fantastic moment in culture, the late end of the 70s, the early 80s was a really fantastic time to be in music. And for us now to be still making music together and writing songs together, you've really got to dig deep, but there should be a lot to say, really. We've seen a lot, we've experienced a lot, like I say, it just comes down to sort of, wanting to just bring the best that you can bring, you know, we're always going to be a little bit frustrated that it's not quite, you know, I wish it was a bit more of this, and Nick's going to think, oh, I wish it was a bit more of that. But, you know, but we've got this thing, we've created this brand, if you will, and you know, we just try to do the best by the brand. Terrible thing to say, really, isn't it? It sounds so.
No, but I think that's how it should be.
I think I remember. I think I first used that word. Well, maybe I remember. First time I used the word brand in association with the band. You know, it was about 10 years ago, I think. And it was like, oh.
But I think it's good. I think it's there must be a secret recipe to longevity somewhere in there. And clearly you guys still are so passionate about it. You're so proud of it too. And that speaks volumes about potentially why the enduring capacity is still there. I mean, a lot of people have not lasted this long, and, you know, 15 albums is genuinely nothing to sneeze at.
We've all got friends, couples that have been together seemingly forever. And, you know, when they break, you know, and when they really knock you, you know, it's like, oh my God, we thought Bob and Jesse were going to be together forever, you know, and it shakes you up because it almost like your togetherness, you know, seems somehow connected to their togetherness. And suddenly Bob's on his own and running around and he's got a new girlfriend. And you're like, hey, hang on a second, maybe I want a new girlfriend. So, you know, I think that there's to some degree, there's a responsibility to society to stay together. You've got to have a really fucking good excuse to break up, is my point. You know, it's like, yeah, I mean, we've been through periods where I'm like, you know, yeah, I'd like to play with a different drummer and I'd like to have a blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, these dudes are like the best dudes you could possibly want to work with on a daily basis. I've looked, and I can tell you that for a fact. They're an amazing bunch of guys. And for all the shortcomings, you know, nobody's perfect. They're an amazing bunch of guys to want to like go back in. Let's write another song together. How about, are we going to write a fast one today? Or are we going to try and write another ballad that makes people cry? You know, what is it that we're going to do? You know, and are we going to go on the road? You know, how do we feel about going on the road? Do you want to play clubs, or should we do a big show? Blah, 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 blah. You know, and a lot of it is about, honestly, you know, you ask what the secret sauce is about staying together, and it's just not breaking up most of the time. You know, it's just not breaking up. You know, I like to say, step away from the detonator, Mr. Taylor. You know, just those. I mean, who doesn't go through? You know, who doesn't think like that? I mean, every fucking week or month, you think, fuck this. Whether it's your job or your marriage or your relationship or, you know, or whatever it is, you know, or some, you know, and it's just not doing that, you know, it's just not doing that. It's just like, you know, just trusting, you know, in it.
Yeah, that's very British. I love it.
You know, I think that the 9 months, the sort of the period of time that we took off from each other on this album, you know, and I went back to Los Angeles, which is where I live with my family, and everybody went, you know, everybody went home, and they dealt with the solitary confinement in different sorts of ways. And when we came back together, we were so fucking grateful. I mean, when we came back together, it was like group hug time. It was like, we fucking survived, you know, and like, okay, well, we're still standing. So what does that mean, you know? And I think everybody, and a dose of humility like that is always good for a group like us. You know, it just reminds you that you're not, you know, you're just not here to change the world. You're just here to, you know, finish an album.
Well, and finish you did, and what an incredible outputting it is with Future Past. I know you have a lot of other things to get on with your day with, so I will hit you with my final question. Considering I have dragged you onto the Green Room podcast today, what is one essential item that John Taylor likes to have backstage in his green room?
I have to have an amplifier. I have to have a bass. I have to be able to warm up. I like to play like for half an hour at least, and then just like walk out on stage. So I'm nice, and so my fingers are warm. That's important to me.
I love it. That's very, very practical too. So I really appreciate the practicality and a beautiful.
Very practical, like boringly practical.
It's
actually.
It's wholesome. But a huge congratulations on Future Past. It is an absolute gift from Duran Duran, and it's just wielded so much joy and so much of what we need right now. So thank you for your time and for the album.
Thank you. Bye.
See ya.
Well, there you have it. John Taylor from Duran Duran sharing some of the secrets to an enduring career from a wholeheartedly prolific band. For new and old Duran Duran fans alike, the group's brand new album Future Past is out in the world today. It has actually been a long time coming, but it's been an amazing lead up to album number 15 for the Birmingham Bunch, and I definitely recommend it for some listening. Perhaps hop on straight after this and grab a listen. But before you go and do that, before I love and leave you, if you've missed any previous episodes of The Green Room, or perhaps you're looking to discover a new podcast along the way, jump on over to euphony.com.au, that's EUPHONY, and you can hear all about it. And while today's episode is an audio-only edition, there are also a heap of video episodes of The Green Room, including my two guests from last week, Tom Morello and Frank Carter. And there's a whole lot more kicking around there. Search The Green Room with Tiana Speter, and while you're at it, why not give the channel a subscribe, and you can keep up to date with all the latest episodes the moment they go live. Likes, follows, reviews, comments, whatever else you've got to show us some love is always welcome. A little goes a long way, and we're always so stoked to hear from you and check out what you think about The Green Room, so please keep them coming. Well, it's been a heap of fun, but that is officially it from me this week. Take care, have a fantastic week, and I'll catch you next Friday right here on The Green Room.
The Green Room with Tiana Speter is a podcast from the Handshake Agency Network, produced by Tiana Speter and Andrew Mast, with Pharrell D'Souza and Henry Gibson providing research, recorded and engineered by Zig Parker, executive producer Craig Trewick.